Hello, everyone. This is Sara Al Mawali on the Unsaid show. We are live every Monday at 1 p.m., and I am here with my lovely co host.
Hi everyone, I'm Sahar. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Sorry, my voice is a little bit cracky today. I'm still recovering from seasonal cold. I hope everyone is doing safe and good.
All right, Sahar, what is our topic today?
So today, Sarah and I are going to discuss a very interesting topic that you asked for it. Last week, one of our callers asked for imposter syndrome. And as we always say, we welcome to have your suggestions for our topics. We would love to hear your ideas and we will go for them. So today, we will dedicate our episode to imposter syndromes, understanding the roots, the signs, how we can overcome it, and how it impacts our life.
Yeah, I'm excited for us to talk about this today. And also, let's give a shout out to our other hosts, Sayyida, Basma, and Tamsyn, who
Tamsyn,
are not here with us
I
today,
miss them today.
but we're sending you guys so much love right now. So, we'll go on a short break and we will get back to our topic.
This is
Hello, everyone. So, this is the Unsaid show. I am Sara Al Mawali and I'm with my co host Sahar. Today, we'll be talking about imposter syndrome, what it is, the triggers, the roots, and how to overcome it. If you're someone that's struggling with imposter syndrome, you're most likely struggling with thinking your success is a luck, not believing the praise you receive, spending too much energy thinking about what didn't go well instead of celebrating, constantly comparing yourself to others negatively. So Sahar, what is imposter syndrome to you? I know I kind of shared some signs of imposter syndrome, but what does it mean to you?
Before going for a definition, we would love you to call us and share your thoughts about imposter syndrome. If you have been through these kind of symptoms and signs that Sara mentioned right now, our number is
2494949493. I'll say it again, 2494949493.
Yeah.
All right, just
yeah, that was
sure.
right. Call us. We would love to hear your story because, as Sarah mentioned, the symptoms, we all go through this. This is not something rare. It's not called a disorder. Actually, it's not a disorder, and it's not mentioned in DSM-5. It is just a phenomenon. It is called as well as imposter phenomenon, not syndrome. And basically, when we feel inadequate, when we feel that we are not good enough, even though you are achieving highly, because it's mostly seen in people who are high achievers, but you don't believe in yourself that although I'm achieving good things, although people are praising me and they're giving me positive comments, but I don't believe in myself. And sooner or later, I'm going to be caught, I'm going to be found out, and they will unmask the weaknesses and the flaws that I have that I'm trying so hard to cover them up. So this feeling, it's a bit of, it's a kind of insecurity that you have, a self-doubt that we have. And this continuous anxiety and fear that's I'm about to be caught is really annoying, and it can stop us from going for bigger goals, bigger dreams. But we all deal with it. I myself dealt with it when I was a student, because this is something that we will talk about it in a bit later. When you're studying and when you are trying to achieve higher marks and when you're competing with your peers, but it's good to know that we all have the same similar
I've
feeling.
definitely experienced it before, and it's not a great feeling. I think it brings a lot of anxiety, and for some people even causes depression. When I think of imposter syndrome, I see it as someone, you yourself within your own body, trapped. Kind of like, I can imagine a stick figure with in a jail cell trying to get out, but not knowing how.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very good definition. It seems like you are playing double face, right?
Yeah.
You are trying to perform well because performance-wise you are achieving high and you are performing very well. It seems that you have a high confidence level, but deep down within yourself, your self-image is cracked and shattered, and you are not so sure about yourself when you are talking to yourself, because it's mostly related to your self-talks, the way you speak to yourself, the way you judge yourself. And that's why you cannot celebrate your achievements when you have imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so it's also how you perceive yourself, and could be from the experiences that you went through growing up or things you've heard. And I think that's also something that we will talk about, the roots of why someone is struggling with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what do you guys think? What do you guys think imposter syndrome is, and do you struggle with it? And if you're willing to share with us a little bit, make sure you call us on 24949493. I'll say it one more time, 24949493. So let's go about that. Let's go on talking about the types of imposter syndrome.
Yeah. There are different types of imposter syndrome, although they're very similar to each other, but there are delicate differences in different types. I'll go through them. The first one is perfectionist. We all
Something
know.
we hear quite often, something that I think a lot of us
that's
deal
the
with.
root reason of a lot of this difficulties that we go through. So when you are a perfectionist, of course you have high expectations of yourself, and regardless of how many achievements you have made throughout your life, you feel like it's not enough, and you are not enough. You have to get more and more and more. So this is the first type. The second type is the natural genius. What do you think about it when you hear natural genius?
I think for me, what when I hear natural genius, all I could think about is someone who was just born smart.
That's it. Exactly.
They know everything just because they just know it.
So because of that, they don't give credit to themselves. Because from the first moment they found themselves as an individual, they were achieving high things, they were having great marks, and they were the top student. So they feel like I was just...
It's just luck.
A talented person.
Yeah.
It was just luck. I didn't earn it. So I'm not deserved for all the achievements that I made. It's very nice. And I was reading an article about this particular type. What can we do if we have the same feeling? It's good to go for things that you haven't tried before.
Getting out of your comfort
zone. Challenge yourself for things that you feel like, no, this is not my type, and I don't feel comfortable to go for that. So it will give you a sense of, that I can go for it and I can earn it by my own. This is a good tip for those people who are struggling with this type of imposter syndrome. The next one is the rugged individualist.
Wow.
Have you ever seen those people, or have you ever experienced yourself that it's difficult for you to ask for help?
Yeah.
You feel like I have to do it myself.
Yeah, the independence, I would call it. Like I want to do it on my own. I don't want to ask for help. Because if I ask for help, then I'll look like incompetent or inadequate.
Exactly. So this is the type that I think we all relate to that in some areas in our life. Maybe at workplace, you feel like if I go and ask for help, they might feel like I'm not good enough for my position. I'm not going to get a raise. I'm not going to get a promotion. So it's better to do whatever I can and not seek help.
Yeah, and I think that again goes back to perceiving what other people think of you.
Exactly.
I think I get a lot of clients that talk about maybe finding it difficult to ask for help, because if I ask for help, then they will think I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough. And I think that's plays a big part of imposter syndrome.
Right.
It's like, why do I think that? Why do you think that way about yourself?
It all goes to your assumption, right?
The
way you
the
view
core
yourself.
belief.
Exactly. Yeah. The next type is the expert. When I feel like this is very typical in university and college, when you feel like for anything that any responsibilities that you've been given, you have to put so much effort to do the research, to go for all the available resources and do your best. This is related to perfectionism as well. All of them are related to each other. But sometimes this tendency to do a lot of researches stop you from doing things punctually and creatively, because you feel like, no, it's not enough. I have to go for more researches. I have to go read more articles to be more prepared. So this preparation will take so much energy and time from you to the point that you feel like I'm not good enough for it. And sometimes we might forget about what we wanted to do because we feel like I'm not prepared enough.
Yeah, you need to just keep looking for more information. Then the more you get deep into it, it's like you're stuck in a rabbit hole.
Yeah. And this is what we always say, that learning never ends, right? For us as therapists, we say that we have to update ourselves, we have to read articles, and the more we read, the more we understand that we know less and less, and we need to, upgrade ourselves. This is a good thing. But if we go to this type of imposter syndrome, it will stop us from performing. And the last part is the superhero. When we have this belief that I have to try my best, and I have to try harder and harder and harder, and I have to save everyone around me. I have to be the superhero, simply,
it's like,
as it is.
The more you try, it's never enough. And I think it sucks to feel that way. Like every time you do something, it's never enough. I need to be the superhero. I need to be seen. I need to be desired. And even when you get desired, it's not enough.
Especially when you have this expectation that I have to be the superhero for others, because it can be very overwhelming to be the superhero or the savior for others, because sometimes you lose yourself in saving others.
Yeah, and I think let's go on a short break.
Yeah.
And let's continue.
Yes.
All right, so make sure you call us on 24949493. Hello, everyone, and we are back. This is Sara Al Mawali and my co host Sahar. So, we were talking about imposter syndrome. We started off by defining what imposter syndrome is and talking about the types. So, can you mention the types again, real quick?
Yeah, we just talked about different types of imposter syndrome: perfectionist, natural genius, the rugged individualist, the expert, and the superhero. Please call us and let us know if you relate to any of these types. If you have a story that you want to share it with us, we would love to hear your story. We will share our own story, our personal stories as well, because this is something that we all go through. It's not a disorder, it's just a phenomenon. It's a natural thing that we can have it in different levels, stages in our life, and we can overcome it. We will talk about it in our last part. And call us on 24949493.
Call us. So make sure you do call us. Again, I'll say it again, 24949493. So we talked about the types. Let's talk about the roots, the root causes of imposter syndrome. So as we said that everybody, if not everyone, like a lot of people experience imposter syndrome, but some people experience it more than others. I would say people who maybe had a hard time in their upbringing, like maybe they are raised to be overachievers, having to always achieve and get good grades and make sure their life is all planned out and perfect. And I'd also say amongst maybe kids getting mixed signals from their caregivers or even like teachers or the people around them. They get praise at one point and then they're put down on another day, and it becomes like a mixed signal. They don't know. They have like a lot of self-doubt.
Which one was them?
Yeah, which one am I now? And so what would you say about like the overachievers, Sahar?
I believe that has so much to do with how we feel and how we set our goals for our future. And of course, parenting can impact our individual image that we create of ourselves. That's why we always say that please be careful about how you're giving comments to your kids, to your teenagers. And as you said, even mixed messages can confuse them a lot. If one day you're praising them and the other day you are just being harsh on them because they didn't achieve what they were supposed to. So try to keep this balance, not too much expectations and not to be careless, because on the other hand, it's interesting that there are parents who are careless and they just don't care and they give a total freedom to their kids and they don't even ask them to do anything, and the kids feel like, I'm not deserved to achieve anything. That's why my parents don't have any expectations of me. This could be another route for you not believing in yourself or having a lot of self-doubt about yourself,
and
because you never received a validation, you never received any expectations from your parents.
I think a big thing is basing your worth on how much you achieve, or basing your achievement on how worthy you are, how deserving you are. And as you said, it's always good to have a balance on how you do communicate to yourself and maybe to your child as well. Like there's a difference between saying your child coming to you and maybe they got a horrible grade compared to what they usually get, and saying, oh, you could do better. But how about saying it like, oh, like I noticed maybe you didn't do that great today. I know that you tried so hard, and I'm sure you'll ace it next time.
Exactly.
Instead of saying you could do better.
So you validated the hard work, the effort that your kid is putting, regardless of the result.
And not a lot of parents mean bad. Like they don't.
No.
Like some adults think that that's a form of encouragement. Like even teachers, like they want their students to do good, but then not knowing the downside of that sometimes it really does put a student down. Like I remember when I was in high school, my teacher said that, like, Sara, you can do better, you're going to fail, you're not going to get a good grade, you're not going to go study abroad if you don't get a better grade. And I went home crying. I remember feeling really bad because I thought I could have done better, but that was the best I could have done. So what is better?
Exactly. I get it. I can relate to that because, some of the times I feel like by threatening our kids or even our friends, people around us, we are encouraging them to do better. But actually, this is just feeding a very negative self-talk, a very negative assumption in our head, which we call it catastrophizing.
Yeah.
That if I don't get this result, I'm gonna be failed forever. If I don't get this, for example, this grade or this achievement, I'm gonna be,
I won't get
not
a job.
I'm not gonna get a job.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be successful. So
And I
I'm
hear that a lot.
catastrophizing and overgeneralizing what I'm not achieving right now. And actually, the previous failures that we had before in our life can could be the root for imposter syndrome in the future if we overgeneralize them. If I define myself by the mistakes that I had before, and I don't give myself a second chance to just try myself, by reminding myself that I'm a different person right now. I went through that failure, I went through that mistake, and I learned something. It's impossible to do it again the same way. Even if I fail again in a different way.
They say life is all about learning and learning lessons. It's not like school where you have to get a good grade.
Exactly.
You don't get a good grade in life. It's about the experience you go through. And I think people are scared of failing. Fear of failure, fear of success. And that's also a part of imposter syndrome, is this internal dialogue that you create for yourself, that thinking that you're not deserving of good things. And I think also imposter syndrome is common amongst those individuals that had a hard upbringing. Maybe they were raised not having enough money, or in a minority group. They feel like they have to work extra hard to reach where they want to be.
Yeah, that's a good point that you mentioned, because when you are raised in a difficult situation, let's say financially, economically, and then you feel like you have to earn whatever you want, you have to set your goals and create your dreams, and you have no support in your family. Even if you achieve what you want to achieve, you don't believe that you are worthy for them, because you never saw yourself in that context as a family. And maybe even your family didn't see how much you put effort, and they didn't notice and appreciate how much you put effort. So this could be another route, but it doesn't mean that you're not deserved for what you did. It's always good to remind yourself, if you didn't have a good parent, you can always reparent yourself. You can always compensate what you didn't have in your childhood by just telling yourself, good job, you did it.
And I think it's also good to remember that parents are doing the best they can with what they know. And I think it's also very healing. It's like, there's nothing more that they could have done, or even your teacher, like maybe that's their way of they were taught, and it doesn't have to be okay, but now it's your time to shine.
Exactly.
To find yourself, to know what works for you.
Actually, Sarah, in the question box that I put on Insta, there was one question about parenting. The question was from a parent who was asking, before they used to put so much pressure on their kid to go get better things, achieve more, so they were a little bit strict on their kid, but now they realize that it is not a good strategy. So they were asking, how can we change, and is my kid going to forget about what we have done before, and how can we change this
well, I want to give an applaud to that parent for noticing. I think that's the first step, is noticing that, okay, maybe this method is not working for my child. I think it's going back to the balance, is creating a balance between, praising, but also not putting the child down, and also encouraging them to, like, even if you make a mistake, even though it didn't go the way even the child wanted, that it's okay, and that, I'm still proud of you, and I still support you, and that you will ace it next time. And I think it's about how are you encouraging the child rather than putting them down.
Exactly. And I think it's good also for parents to mention their own mistakes as a parent.
Yes.
So indirectly you're showing your kids that even me as a parent, as an adult, I can make mistakes. So it's okay for you as a kid to make mistakes too. So we all make mistakes together and we all learn.
Yeah. And I think also for parents is, instead of lecturing, sometimes parents tend to lecture their child on how they could do better, or like, that it's okay, you don't have to get everything perfect. But sometimes the child is a perfectionist, even without the parents expecting so much from them. And it's allowing the child to feel what they're feeling, knowing that, no matter what, you're going to be loved and cared for.
Nice. So please call us on 24949493 and let us know if you are a parent, if you're a student, if you're a college student, if you're going through any difficulties related to imposter syndrome. We would love to hear your story. We will be back after a short break, and we will talk about how we can combat and overcome this syndrome.
This is FM.
And we are back. This is the Unsaid show. We are live and every Monday at 1 p.m. I'm Sara Al Mawali and I'm here with my co-host Sahar. We're talking about imposter syndrome, what it is, the types, and also the roots, like what causes imposter syndrome. And we mentioned that it can be from your upbringing, from your life experience. So we also want to talk about the triggers. Before we get into the the how to overcome it,
Yeah.
I want us to look into the triggers of imposter syndrome, because in life we go through a lot of changes
Yeah.
from our childhood till our adulthood.
Adulthood.
So, what are some triggers?
I can say that the big shifts that we have in our life normally put us on the spot that we have to believe in ourselves, we have to rely on ourselves. And in those moments, we all have a lot of self-doubts by saying that, can I do it? Can I make it? Can I go through this by my own?
Will I be good at it?
Am I good enough? So these are the questions that we all have when we have big shifts in life. Let's say shifting from elementary school to high school, from high school to college, choosing your major for your college, and marriage, relationships, friendships, choosing your friends, just this sense of belonging when you are, for example, part of a friendship group that they're all high achievers, or you're doing something as a group and you know the task that you've been given is a very precious task, very important task, and then you ask yourself, am I belong to this group? Am I good enough as they are? So these are the questions that you ask yourself. And of course there are lots of other big shifts in your life. For example, immigration, moving to a new country. This is something that I dealt with it when I moved to a new country. You ask yourself, can I find a new sense of belonging? Can I find friends? Can I be just part of that society? Can I be a therapist in a new, strange, different country with a different language?
Yeah, different culture.
Yeah.
I think imposter syndrome can be played out in anything in life.
Anything.
When you mentioned friendship, I kind of got a memory when I was in high school as well. I remember growing up, I was never getting good grades. I never got good grades. But then when I was in high school, especially grade 12, it's like a competition. Everybody needs to get straight A's or get really high grades to study abroad. And I remember all my friends around me. In my head, they were all so smart. And I was like, who am I to get like a scholarship, which I did, by the way, guys.
Congratulations.
And
you deserved it.
Yeah, I did deserve it. And I remember I had to work twice as hard. Like in my head, I need to work double because they get straight A's anyway. They were blessed like that. I need to work double as hard. And I think a lot of people go through that. And I think it takes a lot of courage to kind of own up to it and make the changes for yourself.
Exactly. Because, it's the same for others. Everyone is struggling with the same feeling of just finding themselves in a new situation, just trying to believe in themselves. So if we just remind ourselves, it's not only me and not everyone is staring at me and catching me. This is the belief that people with imposter syndrome have constantly, that I'm about to be caught, I'm about to be found out. So if you just remind yourself that it's the same, we all are internally struggling to perform good and to feel good about ourselves. And maybe we can make peace with our imperfections.
And you make a good point, is that while you're here wondering if you're doing good enough and that other people are better than you and they deserve it more than you, that other person is probably thinking the same about something else.
Yeah.
And that other people are also thinking the same way you do, so it's okay.
That's true. Also for the trigger, Sarah, I was reading something about artists, that there are some special categories or fields that you have to look in a certain way, or you have to look perfect, or you have to perform in a very good way, because that's part of your job, that's part of your responsibility. So you are not allowed to fail, you are not allowed to look like, let's say, below that certain level. So that can trigger you a lot. For example, it was mentioned that in fashion industry, a lot of models are going through this imposter syndrome because appearance wise they have to look good all the time, and they have to try their best to sustain their weight, their look to the certain level, but deep down they're struggling with so much insecurity and self-doubts that they have about themselves. What do you think? It's not only in fashion and art,
even musicians, because there's always new artists coming out there, and
this competition.
It's a competition. I think that it's with businesses as well. I think it's in everything around
Yeah.
us, and I think it's a matter of how can we know and create that that self-worth, and that we're enough, and that we're deserving, and that in life everybody will be good at something,
Mm-hmm.
and to focus on what are we good at.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Even us as therapists, right? Because there is a very high expectations toward therapists, teachers, lecturers, that you should talk in a certain way. You shouldn't feel sad. You shouldn't be angry
You shouldn't
or
feel nervous.
nervous. Yeah. And they get surprised when they see a therapist is upset, a therapist is disappointed. But I feel like it's good to remind ourselves that at the end of the day, we are all human beings, and the mistakes and failures that we all have in our life make us a better human.
And that I agree with that, Sahar. Let's go on a short break, and we will continue with the triggers, and then go for the how to overcome
The solutions.
The solutions.
This is Oman FM. FM.
And we are back. This is the Unsaid show. We are live every Monday at 1 p.m. I'm Sara Al Mawali and I'm here with my co-host Sahar. So just to recap, we were talking about imposter syndrome, what it is, the types, the roots, and we stopped at the triggers. We talked slightly about it, about maybe one of the triggers is maybe overachieving, achieving and then thinking that you didn't do good enough. Another one would be failing after succeeding. You succeed every single time, and then that one drop that can trigger imposter syndrome. Another one is scared of asking questions.
Yeah, that's one of the types actually we mentioned.
Yeah, it's
the
like
rugged individuals.
Yeah, just scared of asking for help, scared of asking questions, thinking that maybe you're incompetent if you do. Another one is making mistakes. That's a big one, is being scared of making mistakes, fear of failure.
Yeah.
Because you're scared of what other people might think of you.
Yeah, exactly. And what you mentioned about success was so interesting, because there is something called fear of success. What is the fear of success? When you know that, for example, I'll go for it and I will get what I want, but what next?
What's next?
Because then after that, if I am a top student, for example, then they will expect me to continue to be the top student. Then I'm not expected to be the second one. So I'm not ready for that expectation to maintain that success. So this is another fear that sometimes stop us to go for success or to go for what we can achieve.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do experience that fear of success, fear of, what, now that if I'm in a high position, all that high expectations. And sometimes we place a lot of expectations on ourselves. So whoever does that, be gentle with yourself, please. Another trigger is, for example, going into a field and it's all men and you're the only woman.
Yeah, being a minority.
That can trigger a lot of imposter syndrome. Is like, okay, now I'm amongst all men. Who am I to be in this position?
Exactly.
Did they choose me for me, or did they feel bad for me? I think that's something that goes through some people's minds. Another one is being too young, like in a field with a lot of people who are older than you.
Yeah.
You think that everybody else is smarter than you or have better ideas.
Yeah. Even you don't dare to say your opinion because you feel like they don't,
they won't take me
pay
seriously.
attention. Yeah, they don't take me seriously because I'm the youngest one. So you don't give credit to yourself. And this is related to why in research it has been shown that women are more likely to have to experience imposter syndrome, because they used to be minorities. Unfortunately, historically, there were a lot of negative expectations, not positive, negative expectations toward women, by saying that, oh, you can't do it, or you are not, deserved, or you should go home, or you should go take care of your kids. These are the things that back in the day, of course, nowadays it's not like that. It was in the history of our life, but things has been changed. But it takes time for women to believe that we are not there anymore, and we change this perception.
I like that you mentioned that, Sahar, and I think it's we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to us women to face challenges, because it's inherited. I like to call it like generational. People might hear generational trauma, but it's I think it's our time to make the change.
Yeah,
that goes for both men and women too.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the big shifts that we mentioned, one of them could be marriage, because that's a very huge shift in life. And when we are married, of course, the expectations are changed, that you should look in a different way, or you should talk in a different way.
Behave differently.
Behave different. And then even in the relationship, you need to perform as a partner, as a wife, or as a husband. Sexually, emotionally, there are lots of self-expectations that you have about yourself. Just remind yourself, as Sara said, be kind to yourself and tell yourself that I am about to learn. We learn together, because if I'm not ready to be a wife, my husband is the same. We both are experiencing something new. We weren't in this situation before. And then try to go to help each other to go through this journey together, because then it would be so much fun.
And it's healthy to talk about it.
Exactly.
Sometimes we go through things on our own. And I think when you're able to talk to someone, you'll be surprised of how much they're able to relate. It might not be the same thing or the same circumstances, but it's very similar. And you kind of go through that together.
Exactly. Talking about the art, because we always in our show, we talk about art, music, and movies. I'm sure everyone has seen that famous picture of a chess queen who's looking in the mirror, and she sees herself as a chess soldier.
Oh, that's an interesting painting.
Yeah, it is very famous. I'm sure everyone has seen. We will share it on our Instagram as well. So this is all about the self-image. In the reality, you are a chess queen, but in the mirror, you see yourself as a soldier, as a pawn, that you have the less capabilities
status,
in the chess, right? From the highest to the least.
lowest.
So this is very related to imposter syndrome, when your self-image is not according to the reality of what you can do and your capabilities. How about the movie, Sarah?
Cruella de Vil is a good movie to talk about how, you know, she was in the fashion industry, I think, or she was into fashion, and that I think in a way she kind of felt like everyone else was better than her, so she kept fighting the system, trying to be different, which is great, but I think it also kind of made her a bit bitter.
I see. I have to watch it again. I don't remember exactly, but I will go.
That's how I interpreted it, but you know, everybody can interpret it from a different angle, but that's what came to mind.
But as we mentioned, in the fashion industry, we see a lot of imposter syndrome triggers, because there are lots of high expectations in this field. Okay, I think we have only one more break, and we will go for the solutions, how to combat the imposter syndrome. We would love you to call us. This is the last chance. We would love to hear your story. You can call us on
24949493. I'll say it again, 24949493.
We will be back shortly.
This is Oman FM.
And we are back from a break. This is the Unsaid Show. We are live every Monday at 1 p.m. So stay tuned. And this is Sara Al Mawali, and I have Sahar with me. We actually do have a call.
Yeah. Nice.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. It's Rawia. You know me.
Oh, hi, Rawia.
Hi. How are you? Thank you for calling.
This is my favorite topic because I suffer from this massively. By the way, everyone in the office knows this about me.
That's nice that you talk about it.
See, I'm gonna talk about one of the issues I'm currently having with this because it's increasing at the moment because of this new system that we're using called Ijada. So the system basically makes you write your goals, what you're supposed to do in 4 months, and then evaluate yourself. And when this happens, I always give myself below expectations, and then I have a big fight with Talal about this.
Oh. So you achieve more than you think.
I always give myself less. And in my head, I know I could do better. And sometimes I really don't want to work, and that's okay. So I give myself less.
So what is...
That was my issue. That was one of my issues, like with imposter syndrome, because I keep doing this every month with me myself.
I understand. Thank you for sharing that. So what is the criteria to evaluate yourself? Is it based on the result, or is it based on the effort that you're putting or the amount of time you're spending? What is the criteria?
Mostly the effort, and are you actually doing your job? We all are doing our job, right? But to evaluate yourself, that's the hard part. I can't evaluate myself because I know myself. Sometimes I can do better.
Okay. Actually,
I'm not perfect.
we can always do better, right?
Yes. So I keep telling myself, I'm not perfect, and that's okay. So I give myself below expectations every time.
I get it. Is it by number?
Yes, you're supposed to give yourself like a percentage, how much percent you did in each goal.
I understand. Because maybe one solution could be to add something like a description to the number. If you can explain that how I did and how much effort I put regardless of the number, then it might be more realistic that I did this, but of course I can do better. Because some of the times numbers are misleading.
We do that, but in the form of meeting. We're like in front of the boss now. He's telling me this.
I understand. At workplaces.
I'm pretty sure Hadir is laughing right now because she knows this. I do this every month.
We see her laughing through the window.
I know it's challenging at workplace because we do have those kind of evaluation, but I think that all of the systems are adaptable and flexible. If you can bring it up in one of your meetings and bring up the change that you need, like if you can change the evaluation or like add something to it to feel more comfortable with it, then you can start the change that you need.
For me, I would say continue to disprove your imposter syndrome. Continue to disprove it, because I think it has nothing to do with your capacity of how much you're achieving, but it has to do with this addiction you have about being an imposter, about maybe this is not good enough.
Yeah, true.
I think it's about going for, even when you do not believe that you're not doing good enough or that I can do better. I think it's teaching yourself on, okay, this is good enough. Because sometimes we would tell ourselves, oh, this is not, there is no good enough. Like this, it's still not enough for me. So creating that belief with everything, not just at work, with everything you do, like this is the best I can do right now.
Yeah, I
so
do
just
agree.
continue disproving it, fighting that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and by the way, we are all doing that. We are all constantly struggling with our inner voice, critical inner voice. And I think it's a good fight if you just try to look for the facts, not the negative assumptions that we have. And maybe remind yourself that your best can be different on daily basis.
Yeah, because your best won't be the same every day.
But thank you so much for sharing it with us.
We appreciate
you for having me.
Thank you.
You for calling. It was lovely to have you.
Bye.
Enjoy your day. Bye. Interesting.
Yeah. I feel like I could relate to her at some points.
Yeah.
I know that we were talking here when the mic was not on, and I was telling her, like, I don't know if I'm doing good enough. Like, I'm not always the host. And, and you said something like, the effort is what's important, that, we're here, we're doing this.
Exactly.
And I appreciate honesty from people, and sometimes it's good to talk about things because we can all relate.
Yeah.
So Rawia, I relate to you. I get it. So let's talk about
Yeah, we should wrap it up
overcoming.
so quickly.
Yeah.
But we mentioned somehow the solutions with our colors, with our lovely color, as Sarah mentioned, how to combat those negative thoughts when it's repeating that you're not good enough, by saying that this is my enough today.
Today, this is enough.
Yeah, today this is enough. Maybe tomorrow there is something better that I can do, but for today this is enough. And the other thing is to share your fears, to share your failures, to share those negative thoughts with someone, like what we did today. Because when you share it with someone, then you can correct yourself. As long as it is in our head, we can get lost with our negative, loud voices. But the moment we share it, even we write it, we text our friends, we talk about it, then we can hear ourselves, and then we notice, oh no, that's not fair.
I think it's also like humility, allowing yourself to be perceived in a certain way. I think people that struggle with imposter syndrome are scared of being humiliated or being seen as not good enough. But sometimes allow yourself to feel a certain way, and that it's okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's an internal dialogue that you're creating with yourself.
Exactly. And there is something else, to celebrate your achievements and your failures as well. Remind yourself how your mistakes and your failures made who you are today. So then you can remember that failures are not always bad. They can make you a better person.
And also, just because something happened multiple times in the past that didn't go well doesn't mean that it's going to happen again.
Exactly.
And if it did, it is okay.
It is
It
okay.
is okay.
Okay, thank you so much. And this is the Imposter Syndrome episode. You can find it on YouTube and watch it later. We will finish our episode with the quote we always say.
Change begins with you.
Have a lovely day ahead.
Take care. Bye-bye.